Chapter 2. Rights in the Indian Constitution. Introduction. Constitution limits government power and ensures democracy by granting rights. Focuses on fundamental rights listed in the Indian Constitution. Examines protection and judicial interpretation of these rights. Differentiates between fundamental rights and directive principles of state policy. Importance of rights. Case study. Construction workers during the Asian Games received less than minimum wages, amounting to forced labor. Supreme Court intervened to ensure their rights. Case study. Mashal Lalung, detained for 54 years without trial, highlighted the right to a fair and speedy trial. Bill of Rights. A list of rights protected by the Constitution, ensuring government recognition and protection. Rights may be threatened by individuals or government actions. Government is bound to protect individual rights. Fundamental rights in the Indian Constitution. Historical context. Leaders of the freedom movement demanded rights from British rulers. Motilal Nehru Committee, 1928, demanded a Bill of Rights. Fundamental rights are specially protected and guaranteed by the Constitution. Fundamental rights differ from ordinary rights in their protection and enforcement. Right to equality. Provisions. Equality before the law and equal protection of laws. Prohibition of discrimination based on religion, race, caste, sex or place of birth. Equal access to public places and equality of opportunity in public employment. Abolition of untouchability and titles. Examples of violation. Serving tea in different cups based on caste. Gender-based discrimination in employment. Right to freedom. Provisions. Freedom of speech and expression. Freedom to assemble peacefully, form associations, move freely, reside anywhere in India, and practice any profession. Right to life and personal liberty, including the right to live with human dignity. Protection against arbitrary arrest and detention. Preventive detention. Allows detention based on apprehension of unlawful activity. Detention without trial limited to 3 months, with advisory board review. Right against exploitation. Provisions. Prohibition of human trafficking and forced labor. Prohibition of child labor and hazardous jobs. Context. Forced labor was common among the underprivileged. Bonded labor still exists in some areas, despite being declared a crime. Right to freedom of religion. Provisions. Freedom of conscience and the right to profess, practice, and propagate any religion. Government can impose restrictions to protect public order, morality, and health. Prohibits forcible conversions. Government extends equal treatment to all religions, promoting secularism. Cultural and educational rights. Provisions. Right of minorities to maintain their culture, language, and script. Right of minorities to establish and administer educational institutions. Context. Protects the diversity and promotes the cultural rights of minorities. Right to constitutional remedies. Provisions. Right to approach courts to enforce fundamental rights. Courts can issue writs like habeas corpus, mandamus prohibition, quo warranto, and certiorari. Institutions. National Human Rights Commission and IRC and other bodies protect rights. Directive principles of state policy. Nature. Guidelines for achieving social and economic democracy. Not legally enforceable but morally binding on the government. Content. Goals include welfare, justice, equitable distribution, and international peace. Policies like Uniform Civil Code, prohibition of alcohol, promotion of cottage industries, and village panchayats. Implementation. Various laws and schemes reflect directive principles, like zamindari abolition, nationalization of banks, and right to education. Fundamental duties. List of duties. Includes abiding by the Constitution, defending the country, promoting harmony, and protecting the environment. Context. Fundamental duties are not enforceable, but emphasize citizens' responsibilities. Relationship between fundamental rights and directive principles. Complementary nature. Fundamental rights restrain government actions, while directive principles guide governance. Conflicts may arise, as seen in property rights and zamindari abolition. Key case. Kesavananda Bharati. Case established that basic features of the Constitution cannot be amended.